Hello, everyone. My name is Louis Scicli, and I want to welcome you to the show. Our show will cover local news, local events, and politics. Please look for news shows every week on our website and Facebook page. We want to thank everyone for your ongoing support, and we hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. My name is Louis Scicli. I'm in the studio today with David Phillips, which is with the Rustburg District School Board. He's a representative for the school board. And we invited him in today to talk a little bit about himself and what he's doing and running for, I guess, re-election for this school board position. And good morning, or I should say good afternoon now, Mr. Phillips. How are you today?
Doing fine. Thank you, Louis, for having me in today. Appreciate it.
No worries. So basically what I do is we invite everyone in, and I pretty much turn the mic over to you and let you go over what you want to go over with, and unless there's some things that you may have mentioned that I can answer back and forth. So I'm gonna let you take over the mic, and it's all yours.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So I just want to take the opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself and where I stand on some of the issues, as well as what I, as part of the school board, have worked on over the past, I guess, about 3.5 years now. So. But I've been in term for one term on the Rustburg District School Board, and currently I'm the chairman of the board, and I have been for this past year. Conservative values, but I'm running as an independent candidate. I don't believe politics has a place on the school board. It's a nonpartisan position. I'm there to try to provide good facilities in Campbell County, provide a good educational opportunity for Campbell County students, provide for our teachers and staff. Parents, students, we've got Republicans and Democrats in Campbell County. I'm not there to serve one party or the other. I'm there to try to serve everyone, all the children, all their parents, try to keep politics out of it and do what's right for the kids and what's right for Campbell County schools. So let's see, lifelong resident of Campbell County, born in Lynchburg, raised in Rustburg, 50 years old. I've been in the county for 50 years. My wife is a lifelong resident of Campbell County, as well as both my children. All four of us went to Rustburg District schools, K through 12. I went to Yellow Branch, actually, and my wife went to J.J. Frey, which is closed now, and Rustburg Elementary School took the place of that. Both my kids went to Rustburg Elementary School up through, all four of us graduated Rustburg High School. So we all know the school as well, the school system. We've been in it all of our educational life. And my wife actually is a history teacher, or was. She taught at Rustburg for about 12 years. So I have a good perspective about our school system through her as a teacher as well. And I've come to know a lot of the Rustburg area teachers through my wife and her employment there. So let's see, member of the Rustburg Booster Club. I've been involved with the Booster Club for about 10 years, and with the recent pandemic, it's kind of waned a little bit over the past year or two, but still try to stay involved in that as much as we can. But with two girls coming up, they both graduated, but they were both involved in volleyball and softball, and so had a big involvement there throughout their years at Rustburg. So member of Rustburg United Methodist Church, right across from the middle school on Main Street, Rustburg. And I'm currently employed at BWXT, an engineer there, a project manager there. So been there about close to 20 years now. So that's a little bit about me. The big three issues that seem to keep coming up, which I'll speak to briefly here, maybe a little bit more in detail a little later. Critical race theory. I'm opposed to critical race theory. It's currently not in the Campbell County curriculum. We have no plans to implement it into the Campbell County curriculum. So we've stated that in our meetings, both independently, some of the board members have, including myself, and as a whole, as a board, we've made several statements, if you will, representing the entire board about our stance on critical race theory and how we're opposed to it. So,
how does that actually work? Is that brought down from Richmond to say, hey, here's what we're thinking, or maybe not thinking, and what's y'all's ideas, or is it just pretty much in-house, you know?
Yeah, the curriculums come from Virginia Department of Education, and
Okay.
then it's reviewed by us. And Dr. Johnson spoke to this at our last meeting. There are sessions that there's a change in the curriculum, whether it be history or science or what have you,
Okay.
there are opportunities for citizens to go and review changes to the curriculum and share their input with the Virginia Department of Education and ahead of time, so then they can guide what they agree to or not agree to as far as what the curriculum is.
Okay.
So,
And this is something everyone can get a link to or get copies of or something in case they
Right.
have questions, because I know I personally have not spoke at any of the board meetings, but I listen. And I know a lot of people had concerns and they were up there and talking, asking questions, but I just feel like a lot of them, if you had links or had a way for them to get this information, it would put a lot of people's mind at ease, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know if that is available or if they can get it available. Or
yeah, you can get to that on the Virginia Department of Education, but also I'll double check with Dr. Johnson, but I
Okay.
think he's planning on posting those links on the Campbell County website as well.
yeah,
So,
I think that would be awesome. Just
Yeah.
because right now in today's time with all the stuff going on with COVID and different views on the mask and the shots and stuff, the more information that we can get out to everyone by giving it to them, that's me. I always get yelled at from my phone, while I do these things. I apologize, everyone.
it's all right.
But the main thing is we have the information out there to get to the citizens and the communities. I think that would diffuse a lot of people getting upset or mad or wanting to, I'm going to have to get this off. I'm sorry, everyone. Give me 1 second here. This is a big no-no, I know, and I'm glad just one person's not in here because they'd be yelling at me right now that I bring on my show. But yeah, just having the information for everybody, that's key. Getting it out there and letting them know if you have any questions, concerns, or want to read up on it, here's where you need to go. So if that's possible, that would be awesome to get
Okay.
that out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then another point that's been brought up in the past is the transgender bathroom issue. And it's not a new concern. The first time I ran 4 years ago, it was also brought up during the election at that point.
Oh, okay.
And we are abiding by the law, for starters.
Okay.
We are not implementing the model policies of the Virginia Department of Education in that regard, but we are abiding by the law. And the way we've been moving forward with this is that we don't allow any student, transgender or not, to have their choice of what bathroom they go in. They go into the bathroom they're supposed to per anatomy. And
Yeah.
but if a student has special needs and they come to the administration, we'll discuss it with them and their parents, and then we can provide individual restroom options for that student. And we work with students on an individual basis in a
Okay.
private manner in that regard. And that's the way we've been doing it at Campbell County, and it's been working wonderful for us in that regard. So,
Okay.
so we're not an advocate of free choice of bathrooms or anything to that effect. We try to work with all of our students. We care about all of our students. We want to cater to each student's individual needs as best we can, and we work to try to do that. So,
One thing I want to
Go
drop on and talk about on that real quick. And again, this is stuff that I wasn't aware of that they weren't doing, because again, a lot of people, they don't know. A lot of people don't know that that's thinking, because I don't know what the rules are in these board meetings and the school board meetings. I'm not sure, but I'll be honest with you. I made a few comments, and you can go back and look at them. That maybe y'all were on a gag order or something from the attorneys to not say anything about anything, because
I've got a few notes that I've got down, and I'll touch on that.
yeah.
a
And again,
little
I'm
bit
not
later.
saying it in a
And,
bad way. It's just that from my watching, that's what I was thinking, and I brought it up and probably shouldn't have. But the thing is, by you explaining that little bit right there, that's a big deal. That's a
Yeah.
really big deal. Now, are y'all, when people go up to talk at these board meetings, do y'all not react for? Is it because it's not that kind of meeting that they're having, or what's the reason? Because
So it's
Yeah,
a
how does it
business
work?
meeting,
Okay.
and we follow the agenda, and we go by parliamentary procedure, Robert's Rules of Orders and so forth. We try to keep it as a professional business meeting, and at the start of the meeting, we open up the floor to any speakers that have signed up to be on the agenda. And each speaker gets the 3 minutes. And I spoke in the last meeting, I'd love to give each speaker unlimited time, but we don't want the meetings to run on for hours, because then some speakers may not ever get the opportunity to speak. So you have to have some kind of reasonable limit. In 3 minutes, most people can get up and share what their major concerns are in a 3-minute time frame, and expand on that to some degree.
Now, are there any exceptions to that rule at all? Because the reason I'm saying, I came to one of the meetings and Bob Good showed up, and I guess he hadn't signed up. And I guess you have to have rules, and I get it. But it is Bob Good. I didn't know, but they wouldn't allow him to speak, and I was like, well, that's our congressman. Why can't he speak? But I get I get it. You have rules. You got to abide by the rules, and if you change them, then everybody. But he is a little. I think a lot of people would probably give up their spot to let Bob speak. You know what I mean? If they had been on the list to speak, and if there was an issue, they would have gave up their spot. But I know they didn't. You didn't allow him to speak, and I was like, But
yeah, that's just our policy, is to notify the board the previous week before the meeting, so we can align and get the speakers on the agenda. And we try to stick to that and not play favorites to any political representatives or business members or anything. If you start doing that, it could be a snowball effect.
Yep,
So
I get it.
Nothing against Mr. Good, and we expressed that night that he's more than welcome to come back and speak at another meeting. Just give us a ring or have one of his contacts give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to get him on the agenda. So
gotcha. All right. I didn't mean to break in there. I'm sorry. Just because I was at that meeting, I was like, why can't Bob speak? Now I know.
So I think I spoke to CRT, transgender. The other thing, masks. The mask requirement comes up a lot. Initially, myself and the board, we were for student and parent choice in regards to masks, all the way up until when the CDC changed the guidelines. It was around August 4th, August 5th, somewhere in that time frame. And then the way the law is currently worded, it references to the CDC guidelines, and that to the extent practicable, we must follow the CDC guidelines. And so we're doing so. If we don't, we'll be breaking the law.
That's my next question. Yeah.
And I took an oath when I took this office, not only to uphold the Constitution, but also the Virginia laws as well. I don't like all the laws on the books. Very few people do, but I don't make it a habit of following the laws I like and not following the laws I don't like, particularly when you're in a public position like this. We need to abide by what the current laws are and, work to change those through our delegates at Richmond when the time comes. And,
that's right. Okay.
And if I shared a letter at our last meeting from our attorneys, and it gets a little bit further into detail about the mask requirement and potential repercussions from that if we were to have an outbreak or several students fall and get seriously sick or, pass away. Heaven forbid nothing like that happens, but you never know.
Yeah.
And if there were to be a lawsuit, that's going to come back on the school board and on Campbell County. And you're well aware that lawsuits can be billions of dollars. And that's going to come back on our budget. And we're going to have to take away from our students, our school buildings, our teachers, and Campbell County in general to cover those legal costs. And we don't want to take a gamble and have something like that come back on Campbell County in that regard. So
Now let me ask you this question, because I know that Ann brought up something, and I heard her at the meeting about the hold harmless agreements. Will that hold? I mean, have y'all spoke to an attorney to say, hey, this is what someone brought us. Can you look at it and see if this is something we can get done? Because, again, I mean, anyone can sue anybody over anything. That's the sad thing in this world. But my question is, what if you do get a parent that may come back later and say, you know what, you made my kid wear a mask, and now he's got respiratory problems because he wore. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm very careful on what I say on this show, because I don't want to put in anybody's mind, and I'm saying not to wear a mask. You do what's best for you and what the laws and everyone says they do. But my question is, let's say a parent does do that and say, you know what, my kid's got respiratory problems and now I'm going to sue. So either way, it's a big liability, I guess you might say. So do you think that form would help the schools in our local area? I mean,
Yeah, Ms. Parker brought that up at our meeting, and we made note of that. And Dr. Johnson spoke to that at our previous meeting, how even earlier this year, he explored some of those options in regards to immunity, in regards to the law with our delegates, and we didn't get any response back or any agreement to that.
okay.
And I think we're going to dig into that a little further to see if there's any option there. But so
Okay.
far, from what I've understood, we don't have any option there.
Okay.
We've explored that to some degree, and we'll dig into it a little further. And it was a good point
Yeah.
she brought up, and worth running the ground a little further. So.
Yeah, and she said she had gotten it from, I think she went to the beach or something, and the hotel had her sign it. So maybe their attorneys looked it over and said, you know what, we need to start getting everyone to sign these forms. So somebody's looked at it and thought it was a pretty decent idea. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, don't claim to be, but maybe it's something is a more protection for the schools, because like I said, anybody can sue anybody. So maybe if you have that signed and it holds up, and the attorney said this is something good for us to do, that they can implement it just to protect the county school. I'm looking to protect you guys too, because I live in the county. I don't want to see our schools going with anything less than what we got going on. We need more. These schools need help, and we don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. That's for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll look into that a little further. But we've had a couple of attorneys review the issue and the potential case that could come out of that, and we're acting on their guidance right now. And that's the best guidance we have. So.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like I said, the attorneys know better than. I mean, you're not an attorney, are you?
I'm not an attorney.
Me either. Okay, good.
So I trust in what they say.
You got to. I mean, I guess we got to go based on what they say. So, and I take it if we don't go by the guidelines, then the county could get sued from the state. I guess how would that work? I mean, from Richmond and CDC
potentially, or by
take away funds.
citizens that are affected in a negative way by the COVID virus as well. So it could come from a number of directions. So
yeah, okay.
All the more reason to follow the law.
Okay.
As it's currently stated, and our attorneys have discussed this with other attorneys throughout Virginia as well. They're not making decisions, solely based on their own opinion. They did some investigation into the matter as well. So.
Okay. Well, that answers a lot. I mean, it honestly answers a lot. And not saying this, I'm not trying to say this the wrong way, but I gotten pretty much all the information from you just now. Then I've been to a couple of meetings and didn't really know a whole lot what's going on. But yeah, that's good.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit about the board, what we've worked on over the past few years. So first off, following up with the pandemic, we worked hard to keep our schools open throughout the pandemic, and that was a big challenge. And I commend Dr. Johnson and all of our teachers, our staff, our custodians, our bus drivers on doing an outstanding job on keeping our schools open for our kids. And we had online learning as an option as well. And then we started this current school year with full attendance at our schools, and reduced our social distancing to a degree where we needed to. We couldn't maintain the 6 feet social distancing everywhere, so we had to cut that back to some degree in certain schools to get all of our kids in the classrooms as best we could. So, but it's been a big effort, a very unique challenge, and so that was definitely a significant effort over the past couple of years. So before the pandemic hit, there was a lot of concern about safety in our schools and the mental health of our children. We took measures to get school resource officers in every school in Campbell County. And then we've also looked into our counseling staff and made increases in that regard. I think we've got 21 new counselors and mental health positions on the staff since 2018. So we've really expanded that to have the people there that we need to take care of our kids and their mental health as well as academically. So
now the school resource officers, and again, this is something I'd heard out campaigning, a couple of people said, "Oh, they're going to do away with the school resource officers." I was like, "Where'd you hear that from?" And no one can really give me an answer, but I'm hoping that you all don't do away with the school resource officers by any means, because I got to tell you, being ex-law enforcement, we need them in the schools. I mean, especially with what's going on in this country now, we need them there. I mean, and again, I know my word means nothing, but I'm just saying, as a citizen, I absolutely hope that doesn't go away. So
I agree totally, and there's no discussion right now in regards to cutting any of those services
That's
back.
good.
They did an outstanding job for us. It's good interaction between our officers and the students at all ages, and so I think it's a great program overall.
Oh, yeah.
Not only for the safety, but for that interaction and development between law enforcement and our students, and that it's not a bad thing. Our police officers are there for us and for our protection, and I think that fosters that relationship at an early age. So
most definitely.
We've tried to do the best we could with taking care of our teachers, but with salary increases and bonuses for our teachers and our staff. You're well aware we have some challenges, and they were brought up at our previous meeting about the strains on teachers through the pandemic. Our bus drivers as well. It's a lot of work there, and they're trying to do what we can to look into some other options in regards to a little bit more relief for our teachers. We got to look into our substitute program, trying to bolster that.
Yeah.
We're low on substitutes right now because historically a lot of our substitutes were retired teachers that would come back and substitute, and some of those folks are a little bit more hesitant to get back into the school environment now because of the pandemic. So that's just a part of it, but overall we're going to try to look at some other options there to improve that.
Well, I know one thing, and I'm not putting a plug in for myself, but that was a big part of my campaign, is working with the school teachers and helping them get more raises, and because I'm in the business of loaning money, and I've had teachers borrow money to buy school supplies, and I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't good. Not when these teachers don't make a whole lot now, and they're spending their own money to buy school supplies. That shouldn't be. I know you guys are trying to get more, but if I get in a position I'm going for, I will absolutely work on that 100%. It needs to be done.
Yeah, and you're right. I know that firsthand. My wife used to buy supplies and things for the school. Nothing outrageous, but just basic stuff to
every little
help students out. Every little bit counts.
Yeah. And it's amazing that they have the hearts that they have to actually do that, because I know a lot of people would be like, I'm not buying these kids. I'm not their parents buy it. Well, the parents don't have the money, and they're buying stuff out of their own pockets. And I just gotta say that I really appreciate the teachers that we have, and this ain't a political thing, but I appreciate them because I know they work hard, and the kids need it, and they do need to make more money, most definitely. But I also think the police departments and first responders and all those guys need more money, because, again, I know what it takes to do those jobs, and it's not easy. And to ask them to do it and not really give them a whole lot of money is kind of tough,
Right.
And they need it, and especially for stability, because if we can't afford to pay them enough here, they're gonna eventually find other places to go that's going to pay them more money. We're going to lose people. We don't want to keep having a revolving door for all these positions in the schools and the police department. So we want stability just like everyone else wants stability. So,
right.
So,
I agree. So we'll continue in that regard. Like I said, our teachers are a great asset, as is our bus drivers, our custodial staff. It's a team effort. The teachers are a big part of that, but there's other folks, cafeteria workers, and
everybody.
Accommodate everybody as best we can. So.
Gotcha.
Of course, the new Rustburg Middle School being constructed on Main Street in Rustburg is going to be a great addition to the village of Rustburg. So we're excited about that. It's progressing along well, and it's supposed to be ready to go for the next school year, next fall. So
that's
good progress there. So and some of the facility things we've tried to work on. We've got the rubberized track facilities that are being installed at 3 of our high schools. One is already at Rustburg and Brookville, and working on Alta Vista as well. So those are great for not only the students, but the citizens in the community can take advantage and use those facilities as well. So,
Well, good.
and the Rustburg Middle School, it'll have a track and some athletic facilities, softball field and things there for citizens to use as well right there in Main Street, Rustburg. So it's a benefit to our educational system first and foremost, but to the community also. And I guess lastly, the tech center, being fortunate enough to work at BWXT, worked with some folks there to bring over 3 milling machines to the tech center, and Mr. Hardy and his administrators there were able to utilize those and build further on the machining program at the tech center due to that donation. So that was a great effort on BWXT's part, and played a small role in that to get those machines there. So look forward to that being utilized further and getting some folks involved in the machining program, which is a great opportunity and a great career for folks to take advantage of. So,
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
so those are a few of the highlights of some of the things we've been working on. And like I said, I wanted to touch on myself and where I stood on some of the
That's good.
key issues that are going around right now and being discussed at our meeting. So,
Yeah, because again, when I go to these meetings, we hear everyone speaking, but when I leave, I'm still, not very much more knowledgeable than when I got there. But now that you explained a lot of it, it makes sense on what's going on. But it's been rough the last couple of meetings that we went to on the frustration level and stuff. And the last one we went to, it seemed like it was a little bit more calmer and people were a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it was a better meeting, this last meeting, and we tried to circle back with some feedback from the previous meeting, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah.
And folks get a little frustrated at times. It takes some time to run some of these items to ground and look into things and circle back and give them some information. We can't always provide immediate feedback. If possible, we do, but oftentimes we need to check into some of the details and then circle back on those things. So.
Now, are you all engaged with the people that show up to these meetings by doing follow-ups or anything? Would you get a chance to follow up with them and just send them an email saying, thanks for stopping by and here's what address what they're asking, like by emails or anything? Okay.
Got off the phone with speaker last night, actually, either last night or night before, one or the other, but he reached out to me and we discussed the matter in more detail, and we're looking into his concern, and told him we'd circle back with him hopefully next week sometime when we get a little more feedback. But yeah, if we don't follow up in the meetings, we try to follow up with those folks, and like I said, our information is on the website, and every call I've gotten from one of the constituents, sometimes I'm a little delayed in getting back because sometimes I get home late at night and get a message and I don't want to call somebody. I try to draw the line at about 8 o'clock. I don't want to call people after 8. But I try to circle back. I've returned all calls and emails that I've gotten, not only from citizens in the Rustburg district, but outside of the Rustburg district. So,
and what about do the other board members respond to anything, or is it just
as far as I'm
you?
aware, they respond to their calls as well. I don't know for certain, obviously, if they
because
but I think they do a pretty good job of it. So
I would just say that would be, if they could do that, that would help out a lot with people coming up there a little bit, frustrated. Maybe if they've gotten emails back to say, hey, here's what's going on, and respond back to them in some way, I think it would diffuse a lot of it, to be honest with you, because a lot of people that come there, they're a little upset. Right. We don't want any upset people. So. Yep.
Any call I get, like I said, if I'm not there, leave a message, and I take the messages down, and we'll circle back as soon as we can. So.
Okay, good. Awesome.
And one other point I wanted to touch on, which is, Campbell County School Board, I want folks to be careful not to lump every school board together as a whole in the state of Virginia or either nationally. I watch the news, listen to a lot of the radio shows, Tucker Carlson, Hannity, Lars Larson, you name it. But I hear often, Virginia school boards or, school boards in general, what goes on at some of the school boards that's making national or Virginia state news is not necessarily going on in the Campbell County School Board. You hear Loudoun County come up a lot in the news. We do not share the same beliefs as some of the folks on the Loudoun County School Board or any other board that may make the news. And a couple of points, we've talked about already, critical race theory and the transgender issue. A couple of other things that have been in the news recently are a remark about parents not having a say-so in their curriculum that was made by a political
I've seen that one
candidate.
too.
And I'm not in agreement with that whatsoever. I mentioned it earlier. We shared some information about parents attending meetings on a curriculum adjustment to our history program coming up here later this year and into early next year. But obviously, I'm an advocate of getting parental feedback into our curriculum, and I think that's important.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
So another item that came up, let's see.
I did see that when they were saying that parents shouldn't get involved in what the teachers teach their kids, and I was like, well, I don't know about that.
That was kind of an outlandish statement. And then the other one that was pretty crazy, I thought, that's come out here recently was that parents attending school board meetings are getting unruly, and they should be treated as domestic terrorists.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
That's outrageous. We welcome parents to our meetings. Sure, some folks are a little more animated, if you will, or raise their voice, which is fine. I mean, we don't want anything to get out of hand.
No, you never do.
But we want to keep it, as I mentioned earlier, a professional business meeting, and we need to respect everybody and give everybody the right to be heard. And so we don't hold those beliefs. You see these hot topics coming out and people trying to make political points about that, but that's not what I can speak of to the Campbell County School Board. That's not what I'm about. That's not what the current board is about at all. We don't support those kind of things that you see in the news. So just wanted to make that clear that, not to make the mistake of lumping Campbell County School Board in with all these sometimes extreme news stories that you hear on the news. So.
I mean, I've always said that if you're going to go to these meetings, be professional. Don't get up there. Don't get all crazy and yelling and screaming. And anything you do up there when you're on that mic that makes anybody else in that room feel uncomfortable, it's not a good thing. Right. I'm talking about the people that are just sitting there waiting to talk. I mean, if I'm sitting back there and someone's up there getting a little crazy, I feel a little weird about it too, and I don't want to feel like that if I'm going to these meetings, and neither does no one else. So do that for everybody. Just be professional. Don't get up there and get all, you can speak your opinion without getting loud and screaming and banging stuff, because when you start doing that, it's not good. It's not good for anybody. And then, someone's probably going to have to ask you to leave, and then you're going to feel like, you didn't get a chance to say what you had to say, but you can say it professionally without having to get like that. And just like people that protest peacefully. Don't go out and tear up things and hurt people and scream and yell and make people feel uncomfortable. You can do it peacefully. That's what it's supposed to be about. And I've always said that. If you're going to go up there and you want to be heard, do it peacefully and professionally. That's all. I mean, again, I'm sorry to keep chiming in here, but I want to make sure that,
I totally agree. It's, welcome all, citizens to come to our meetings. That's what they're there for. That's what we're there for. I mentioned earlier I'm running as an independent because obviously I have my own beliefs, but I try to put that aside as much as possible because I'm there as a representative for the Rustburg district. So I take into account what our citizens are telling me and try to carry that forward in how we move forward with the school program. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, it doesn't matter to me. You're a parent or you're a citizen of Campbell County, so I'm going to take your feedback regardless of your political stance and then try to act on that as best we can. So that's why I think it's another important reason to try to keep – politics are important, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we need to interject any more politics than we need to into our school system. There's plenty of politics going around everywhere else.
Yes, so, indeed. Yes.
And, my opponent has some concerns, and that's great as a concerned parent, and I encourage that. But I never received a call or an email or anything from my opponent as a parent in the Rustburg district. And but I would welcome that if he has concerns, and I'd be more than happy to listen to his concerns and share mine with him and move forward with whatever concerns he may have. But so far, the main things that we hear at the meetings are CRT, transgender, and the mask issue. And we've spoke on those issues since our July meeting. The opinion of the board has been recorded in our meeting minutes. Myself and several other board members have spoken individually in regards to those issues, and those have been recorded in the meeting minutes. We've voted and accepted the meeting minutes as formal public record. Anybody can get on and review those meeting minutes, including the Virginia Department of Energy and the governor and the delegates and whoever else in Richmond. So the stance has been made. It's public knowledge. It's public record, and we spoke to that again since July in our meetings. So just want to try to make clear where we stand, not only me individually, but as a board for Campbell County. So
awesome. Okay, well, sounds good. Do you got anything else you want to hit on, or? Yeah, we got a few more minutes if you got some other stuff you want.
A couple of things that have come up. Just had hearing some things in discussions about my opponent mentioned he wasn't on the ballot because you had to have your information in by March. It was actually June 8th was the cutoff to have your information in, not March, and it was 125 signatures by registered voters by June 8th. And I think he mentioned that these issues weren't relevant at the time, but as I mentioned, the transgender issue has been around since the previous election 4 years ago, and CRT has been in the news all throughout. I've got some newspaper articles in June and July about the CRT issue. So the issues are relevant. In regards to, he spoke to change and how we need some change. I agree that we need some change maybe on the state level and the national level, but I think I've spoken to the issues that have come up in regards to Campbell County, and I think we're more or less in line with most of our constituents in Campbell County in regards to CRT and transgender, and I've explained where we are on the mask policy and why we are following that law, which we're required to do. So, you mentioned parents not having a say-so. Obviously, parents have a say-so. They're welcome at all the meetings to share their concerns with us at the meetings, and our information is on the website. All board members are free to give them a call with any concern or shoot them an email, and we'll be happy to reply back to you. So we're open to parents' concerns at any time, and always have been. So you spoke about interaction at the meetings, and we've kind of touched on that a little bit already about the agenda and the business meeting format, where we give the opportunity for speakers to share their concerns up front, and we listen. And I personally, jot down notes about each speaker's concerns, and then a little bit later in the meeting, we have matters from the board, and we'll reply to things we can immediately at that point. And then sometimes at a subsequent meeting, we'll follow up on issues as well. So
I gotta be honest, I brought that up even on my podcast, that no one was really saying anything back, and I didn't know if that was the rules or.
Yeah, it's not a gag order. There's no gag order.
I did say that a couple times.
We don't
I didn't
respond
know.
to each speaker.
Okay.
Because as you mentioned, sometimes
takes a little longer.
The issues are heated.
Yeah.
And if you get into a back and forth with each individual speaker, things can get out of hand at times.
Yeah. Are you allowed
not to let that happen?
Yeah. Are you allowed to meet later with that person about issues, and maybe if they have a real true issue, are they allowed to sit down with you guys later?
Sure. I've had some folks say after the meetings, and I've spoke to people after the meetings before.
Right. I just want to know how it works, and that way I know if someone comes on my podcast and they start bringing up something, I can say, hey, by the way, after the meeting, you can maybe meet with them.
And if you don't catch us after the meeting, like I mentioned, just give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll follow back up with you personally. Like I said, I did that a couple of nights ago with one of the speakers. So
okay.
But there's no gag order in place. And
you keep saying gag order, I'm thinking, oh my God, I said
that because of the way the meeting is formatted.
Yeah.
It's an agenda, and it's
that's what I was
procedure and Robert's rules, and we kind of follow that to keep it a professional meeting and keep it on track and moving forward, and not spiral down into an argument with one particular speaker. And like I say, sometimes I can get out of hand. And the last thing I want to do is have somebody be escorted out of the meeting. No. I want to keep everybody in the meeting and hear what everybody's got to say, and then give our feedback to that. So.
Well, that summed that part up for me because I didn't know, and I'm the one that brought up the gag order. Sorry.
No problem.
I didn't know. Because when I heard all these parents talking and no one was saying anything on that side, I'm like, why aren't they saying anything? But now I get what you're saying, though.
And, as chairman, I thank each speaker sincerely after they speak. And, we'll thank them, and whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, I respect all of our speakers that come to the meetings, and ask for their respect to the board as well. Like we spoke about earlier, we need to keep it as a respectful, professional
just professional.
meeting, and that's how you move forward on
Absolutely.
issues and reach agreement or compromise or whatever the case may be.
It's the old saying, you get more with honey than you do vinegar, and I got to tell you, I've lived by that my whole life because my mom used to tell me that growing up, and it's true. You get up there and you get all irate and crazy, nobody's going to want to help you. Nobody's going to want to do anything for you because they're thinking anything I do for you, you're going to still be mad and mean and angry. Yeah. Just go to these meetings and speak, but do it professionally and talk normal. And then maybe ask for a meeting later if you don't feel like, you're not getting anywhere right then. You can ask for a meeting later. It's simple. Yep. We just got to keep it that way. And I have a lot of friends of mine in law enforcement with Campbell County. I know they don't want to go in there and pull people out of there because I've talked to them and they're like, no, we don't want to do that. We just hope everybody behaves themselves and does it the right way. We can all go home healthy and happy, and everybody, can go on with life as usual. But when you get in there and you start to get mean and mad, then things happen. We don't want that in our county. We want our county to be normal and nice to everybody. I know not everybody's going to agree on everything. Everyone has their own opinion on things, but do it professionally. That's all I ask. I do that every time I do a podcast. Please be professional. So there you go.
I agree. And another thing that was mentioned about, I won the election by a little more than 100 votes. Just for the record, I won the election by 179 votes.
Okay.
It was
I didn't hear that one, though.
About 6%, which is a decent margin, all things considered, when you look at margins in political races. So
was that said on my podcast on how many votes?
I believe it was, yeah. So
I swear I don't remember that, but I believe you. But, I can't lie about it. It's on video somewhere. But okay.
And we've got that on my Facebook as well. It's a TV screenshot of News 13 or something like that.
Okay.
And he mentioned being in it for the right reasons, as to imply I'm in it for some wrong reasons. I think I'm in the race for the right reasons as well.
Did he say that or did I say that? Because I can tell you right now, I say I'm in it for the right reasons on every podcast.
Okay, I don't to
and
be honest,
I'll admit to you, I think it was me that said that.
And I said down some notes, and I was like, well, I think I'm in it for the right reasons too. So
I know I say that all the time for me, and I'll stand by that. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah. So I think I'm in it for the right reasons as well. Like I said, I'm not in it for myself. I'm not in it for the money. There's
I think that was me.
Little bit of money in this.
I say that all the time too. It's not for the money, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
My opponent and the three other opponents that are running for the school board, they're endorsed by the Campbell County Republican Committee, which is fine. But as I mentioned earlier, it's not a partisan position. I don't seek endorsement from Republican or Democratic committees the last time I ran or this time, because I'm there to listen to all parents, all citizens, whether you're Republican or Democrat, about the needs of our schools. So I try to keep politics out of it as much as we can. So
I agree. I'm running as an independent for that reason also.
Right.
Do what's right for the people, period.
Let's see. I've already spoken to CRT. They said we need some new blood in the race. we spoke earlier, I've been in this position for about 3.5 years, so I don't know if that makes you old blood or not, but I'm far from a lifetime politician. I was approached by our previous school board member. We were friends, acquaintances. He said he thought I would do a good job because I try to tend to be as level-headed as I can, listen to everybody, take their feedback into account, and ran and was fortunate enough to win. So been on the board for one term and enjoyed it, and hopefully we can make a run for a second term. So, and you brought up Hope for Tomorrow as a program I think that's used by Appomattox County for mental health assistance, and that was a good comment, and I made note of that. But as I mentioned earlier, we've placed 16 new positions in our school system. I think it was 16. Is that no 21 new positions in our school systems since 2018, and we work with Harvest Outreach, which is a local organization in Campbell County to address the mental health issues of our students as well. So we are making use of local organizations in that format as well, but we can definitely look further. I'm not opposed to exploring that further with other organizations if it's going to benefit our students or our teachers. So,
Gotcha.
And I think that kind of hits the highlights anyway. So,
well, I would definitely, again, I'm a very fair person, and when you mention about coming in, I'm all for it, because I'm not going to tell anybody they can't come on. And I know when we spoke and you asked me a few questions about how the show works and everything, and I just said, look, I pretty much turned the mic over to you. You say what you got to say. We don't edit our videos at all. I have bloopers to prove it. We'll stop it and redo it if there's a bunch of bloopers, which I've had many. But we don't edit it. Everything you say and I say during our segment stays on the segment. It doesn't get altered at all. And as soon as we're done today, I'll upload it and send links out to everyone, and you can share them. That's all. You can share as many people as you want. So, but I do appreciate you stopping by and coming in and talking with me. And if you want to come back at another time, you're more than welcome. Just call and we'll schedule it. We're going to be moving our location to a bigger location where we can accommodate more people. Kind of a different situation where our studio is now. We won't talk about that, but but I really do appreciate you stopping by and talking, because I think a lot of things you spoke about really hits on the things that a lot of people had questions on that didn't know, like myself. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on those board meetings that I was confused, and now I got a bigger picture, a better picture of what's really going on and how it works. So. Right. Thank you very much for stopping by, and we enjoyed it. And everyone, please keep watching our shows. We're going to try to put out podcasts once a week. Different guests will be on the show, and thank you all for listening. And
real quick, I
sure.
noticed I had a sample ballot.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been done before, I guess. But
yep, you got to push it straight up to where that camera. You got long arms, you'll get closer than me. But yeah.
Anyway, David Phillips on the ballot for Rustburg District School Board. So.
Yep.
Again, appreciate everybody's support, and thanks for your time, Louis. Appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yep.